Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. How are we, Edward?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. Fun little card tonight. Firstly, before we talk about that main event, that co-main, Conah Walker, from the minute that first bell went, we know Cyrus likes to get involved in a war, but fair play.
Yeah, I mean, Cyrus keeps giving us Fight of the Year contenders. The one against Chris Jenkins, one of the Fight of the Year contenders. And again, that tonight, unbelievable. I mean, I'm not sure he's necessarily fighting the right style every time, but it just seems to gel with everybody. And, you know, the fight was incredible. Conah Walker was unbelievable, showed so much heart. I felt that Cyrus was finding his way back into the fight. The third knockdown was ridiculous when he was cruising that round, and that kind of swung the fight back to Conah Walker. And it looked like he was going to wear Conah Walker down, and then Conah Walker just went through the gears. And I thought it was a great stoppage from Graham Rutherford. You can be too brave at that point, and he looked like his legs had deserted him. Lewis Ritson was ringside, about to get in the ring to announce the fight with Cyrus Pattinson. But we'll rebuild that Newcastle show, and massive props to Conor Walker.
Galal Yafai, first round KO?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, you know, he's an incredible talent, and I thought he'd win. I didn't think it would be a mismatch. And when you have a mismatch at British and European level, you just realise this kid is very, very special. We know Olympic gold medalist, I believe a multi-weight world champion incoming, and phenomenal talent.
World titles in sort of 10 to 12 months?
Without doubt. I mean, he wants to fight on the Bam Rodriguez against Edwards card, and I think he'll be fighting those guys within 12 months, honestly. I think he needs like a gatekeeper like a Quadras or a Rungbasai would be a great fight. It's a big step up, but honestly, I think he's ready for it.
Jay Harris tweeted that he'd like to go in next. Any chance of that?
That's the fight we tried to make tonight. Maybe. I don't think that's the fight for Arizona. And I'm not sure, with all due respect to Jay, that he's going to trouble Galal. I think he's elite already, and I think we need one of those big names.
Conor Benn's returning, we believe, in the next 3 to 5 weeks. I don't think it'll be Mexico with all the situation with UCAD and everything, and whether he can fight in the UK. Looks like Florida. Would we be correct?
It's very likely that you'll see Conor Benn return in September. He already has a licence to fight. And, you know, I know there's this ongoing sort of debate about him being cleared and not cleared. I mean, my interpretation of that is he was suspended, he wasn't allowed to fight. Also, the commission, where his licence, weren't comfortable with him fighting whilst he was suspended. He won his case, the suspension was lifted, and he has been cleared to fight with that commission. They've told us that. And he's also cleared to fight in the UK. Now, we know there's a appeal through Conor's victory, so he has to go through that process. But at the moment, he could apply to the British Boxing Board of Control to fight. He's not suspended, and he could definitely fight in America. So the appeal process is probably going to take 3 months. He hasn't boxed for 18 months. So whilst he's won his case, and whilst he's had his suspension lifted, there's a very good chance he could fight in September.
Eduardo, Frank Warren last night said, what I found concerning was apparently she, allegedly, obviously Alycia Baumgardner, was going to leave Matchroom and go and sign with Jake Paul. Read into that what you will. Yeah,
desperate really. I don't know why it's concerning to him. I mean, I know there's no air conditioning in the venues he does shows in, but he obviously went to his head. I don't know, you know, I saw his comments about like substances and all that. I mean, I don't know why he's criticising someone who is paying for additional testing, and they're criticising about they only test for certain things, but we're talking about a positive adverse finding. So they must be doing an okay job, but also he was completely wrong with everything he said. Alycia Baumgardner has got till April on her contract next year. We've also got first last. We're also negotiating a new deal. We're also planning for her to fight the winner of Taylor against Cameron. So, you know, but I mean, I think the problem is it's very disheartening. You know, you don't want to be attacked by small hall promoters, but at the same time, that's their job. You have to be trying to put yourself up with the big boys, and you know, I don't know. It's obviously an American situation as well with drug-free sport. I know Frank Warren, I believe, is not licensed to promote in America at all. I don't know the last time he was lead promoter of a fight in America. Not certainly for the last couple of decades anyway. But again, you have to really protect your fighters, and ask the question, someone should ask the question, does he have additional testing? Is he paying for additional testing for his fights? I believe Joe Joyce's fight has it, because the management asked for it, but you've got to protect your fighters, and I don't know. Baluta, last night, was he tested? Absolutely not. And Frank will say, yeah, he was tested on the night, but what about the 12 weeks that he was preparing? The answer is no, because they don't want to pay for it, because that costs $30,000 to test Baluta, and that's probably more than his purse. So again, very difficult for small hall promoters to test at that level.
Eduardo, just finishing that back off. God, I don't know what was going on there. Ben Shalom. Obviously, this whole Jai Opetaia thing, some comments were made that maybe you didn't even really want to sign him, and that sort of you did it to interfere, Opetaia, and that you maybe did it to interfere with their Riakporhe plan.
Jai Opetaia is the best cruiserweight in the world. Why wouldn't I? We have a big business in Australia. The Zone have a big platform there. He's just beaten Bradis. He's the Ring Magazine champion. Why would I not want to sign Jai Opetaia? Do you think I would honestly sign a fighter to try and mess around with boxer? Not being funny. I mean, it's a little bit arrogant. It's a bit like us v boxer. How can I explain it? It's a bit like Galal Yafai against Tommy Frank.
That's a great analogy.
It's the easiest one that came to mind.
How do you think Riakporhe will be feeling? I know that you explained a lot with the whole Fraser Clark thing.
Fighters are very vulnerable, and they get talked into making terrible decisions. I hope someone says to Richard Riakporhe, I mean, they're trying to scramble for the Gulamarin fight now, so who knows? But he's got a contract to fight Tommy McCarthy, so it's all a bit all over the place. But we know, because Richard Riakporhe messed up, one of our fighters is now going to get an opportunity to win a world title. So, great.
Mikael Lawal made some comments and accused Ben Shalom of being biased to Isaac Chamberlain. He said, that's his boy, they put him in this fight to come and beat me. Ben hasn't even come and say hi. Josh Boatzy said he felt the same way about Dan Aziz in the whole situation. What do you make of that?
Yeah, look, it's difficult when you put fighters in, not to, back up Shalom. But it's difficult when you put a fighter in with another fighter, because they always sometimes feel like you're favouring someone, but in reality, yeah, he's had Aziz for a long time. I'm sure he'd love Aziz to beat Boatzy. I don't know Lawal or Chamberlain. I used to promote Chamberlain a few years ago, but I don't know who his favourite is there. But it's difficult when you are putting fighters in with fighters from your own stable.
Many a times I've asked you about someone like John Fury threatening to do many of things to you. It's now Nate Diaz. That's quite scary.
Very scary. Probably more scary than John Fury.
Where would you rank on like a scariness level?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
10 being most scared?
Yeah.
12. No, yeah. All I said, I don't think you should be threatened or penalised for giving your opinion of a fight. Like they said, what do you think about Jake Paul against Nate Diaz? And I said, as an event, unbelievable. In terms of the boxing quality, really poor. That was what I said. And he said he'll fight any of my fighters from welterweight to heavyweight, was it? I've only had one request. Sandy Ryan said she'd do it. So that's the only one that has put herself forward so far. But obviously she's fighting Jessica McCaskill. But if Nate Diaz does see me, please don't choke me out. I'm a big fan. Genuinely actually a big fan of Nate Diaz. I just don't think he's a very good boxer. But I promote some of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world. So I'm not saying he can't box, but he can't box at that level. So that's it.
Couple of weeks off, and then the schedule. How busy are you going to be in this back end of the year?
From September the 15th. Obviously, we announced September 30 on Tuesday, I think. And from September the 15th, I don't think we have a free week till December 17th. So it's going to be a long run. And we have a couple of weeks now with no show. Get ready, and then smash it till the end of the year.
Cheers, Eduardo.